So the wildest thing I ever saw happen at an insurance agency is when I was running a 10,000 unit fleet, and the insurance agency came out. They sat down with me and they said, based on the driving skills of your 10,000 drivers, you are uninsurable.
What?
And took off, and I needed to find a new broker. We had a lot of bad drivers, a lot of accidents. And so that was the craziest thing I saw, was finding out that we had a company that size that was uninsurable.
Oh, that is crazy.
Well, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah. So my name is Brandan Keegan. I'm an insurance dude, and I run Merchants Fleet.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Boom.
Boom.
All right.
So,
wow. Was there a gap?
You know what? Here's what it was. Like we had 10,000 drivers out there, and they were bad drivers.
all of them? That's a lot of bad drivers all in one place.
Here's the thing. Like at the company, like we reported everything as an accident. If there was a fender bender got reported as an accident, when in reality, probably shouldn't have reported that as an accident. So it was just our mod rate was high. We were uninsurable. We actually had to self-insure for 2 years, improve, and then go back to market. So pretty crazy.
So let me ask. Yeah, go for it.
You self-insured a 10,000. I mean,
Yes.
I guess that's what a lot of counties and cities will end up doing, right? Because they have the big coffers, but still, it's a lot of risk, especially if there's 10,000 bad drivers.
Yeah, we have to post a lot of money up. It was a big challenge. We got it under control. We went back, and I can tell you one thing we did. We in the company right now, Merchants Fleet, we're a commercial fleet company. We got 200,000 vehicles on the road, and we're big fans of telematics. We want to proactively know, what are the drivers doing on the road? How can we prevent it? Create a point system. You get so many points for being hard braking, speeding, whatever, and you're out. So, but we didn't have telematics back when I just told that story.
We happen to know a few large carriers that really are into telematics.
Can you name them?
No, actually, I'm not.
You can't name one of them.
Yeah. So, yeah. Uh-huh. But it's interesting though, because we as agents hear a lot about telematics, and usually it's like maybe with a little apprehension from some of the agent force out there, but like from your angle, especially having that many drivers, wow, how valuable that can be for you.
Yeah, well, I've got. I'm just thinking, one of my clients, they drive, big F-250s, and they're pulling things, pretty heavy things, and every week she'll get a report of, all the bad drivers. And every week she'll have somebody trailering over 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
Whoa.
And that's just, that's just not good. And there's so many use cases for telematics and in driver behavior. And ultimately it's the companies want their drivers to be safe, but they also want the people on the road where they're driving to be safe. And I'm pretty confident that the insurance agencies, want that out there. It's a lot less risk to insure. But yeah, the telematics, you get an exception report every morning at 8 a.m. comes in, tells you all the bad things that some of your drivers did.
Dude, I mean, a truck, an F-250 pulling something going 100 is like a death machine. Like that thing is just, whatever it hits is going to die.
And here's what's crazy. It happens weekly, and they know there's a telematics device in the truck, and they still do it.
Well, it's because they've already drank 5 beers by then. So then they don't care anymore. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty insane. Now just hopefully Elon's not listening to this, but I know that with the telematics, there are ways to beat it, right? There's like ways to game it, like hard braking. Then you end up, you could drive through the neighborhood and go like get up to speed, and then like just drag the braking out so what?
And how do you know that, Craig?
Huh?
And how do you know
I have the Tesla app, and I have to, because I get, I know that I have a hard brake, so I have to fix them. That's why I hope Elon's not listening. Hypothetically
so good.
speaking, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you caught any of that? Have you caught?
Yeah.
people doing that?
There's heartbreaking. There's idling, getting off a little bit of with the telematics device. One of my favorite applications is, one of our clients, they get the report every day. And at the end of the day, they send it to HR. And, I was asking, well, help me understand, why do you send this to HR? And they go, well, a lot of our guys are contractors and some aren't the most honest, and they put their time cards in every day and they say, yep, I work till 5, but yet the truck left the job site at 1:15. And then idling, idling's a big thing. Just, emissions is something our clients are really focused on, and, heavy idling times. When did the vehicle need to be idling? And that will report back. But, there's the speeders, the people that aren't where they're supposed to be. Then there's route optimization, just getting people to where they need to be faster. And then there's, hard-braking, speeding, and then just little things like idling, which is more, environmental and what's best for the vehicle, what's best for usage.
Crazy.
So I'm assuming you didn't start your career with 200,000 vehicles rolling on the road.
No.
Yeah. Take us back to the humble beginnings, like where you found your passion and kind of walk us through that experience.
Yeah. So say if I took you back, like high school, college, I always liked student government. Always liked being in the student government. Went to an engineering school, learned how to program. I liked program. I liked technology, and I started at a company that Ross Perot founded back in the day called EDS. I was a programmer.
Oh,
and,
cool.
And what's funny is after a couple of years, they said, "Hey, Brennan, we really think you're good with people." Now, what I didn't ask at 23 was, does that mean I'm not good at coding? Which I really want to go back and ask them, because I think they put a period at the end of the statement. You're really good with people, when it should have been a comma, because you're not as good at coding.
Or parentheses there, yeah.
Yeah, but so then I started my leadership journey, and from there on, I've actually today is my 26th wedding anniversary, and I've been a president CEO now for 24 years. And really, like, leadership's my passion, just going into companies and helping people grow, develop, attracting good talent. Now, but the way I got to merchants, what's interesting about that is, that 10,000 person client, the 10,000 fleet, that was 2009. I was actually merchant's largest client at the time.
Wow.
And then, being more from the technology side than the vehicle side, they asked me to join their board and help them build out the technology at the company. And the only warning I'd give your listeners out there is, hey, if you're a board member and you keep making lots of suggestions and you kind of bug them enough, eventually they say, "Hey, buddy, you think you got all the answers? You think you're so smart? Why don't you come run the place?"
Right.
And then you do. And here I am. Super
cool. It is funny, like, how synonymous like leadership is with, you being married for so long, like that is a leadership role that's probably even harder.
Yeah, I would say my wife has the harder side of that journey.
Yeah. But do you have kids?
I do. A 19 and 21-year-old. So it's been fun watching their journeys.
You are 1 year in all three things past me. So I'm 25 years marriage. Yep. I have, my son is 18 and my daughter's 22. So okay, tight on that one.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Or I got you on that one. I don't know, whatever. It's crazy. So we're both old.
Yeah. No, I'm
slightly younger.
Yeah. I'm looking at you. You look like you're staying young.
I try.
You're doing well over there.
Yeah. It's just, all the knickknacks around me keep me young.
Right. Are you out in Huntington Beach as well? Are you out?
No, I'm in Arizona, Tucson.
Okay, there you go. Keeping you warm and young out there.
Yeah, leathery skin.
Yeah.
But it's so, like, the reason why I asked you that is because that whole, like, being passionate about leadership, and leadership is so important in the workplace. It's like one of those skills and things that, like, when you are married and you have kids, you start taking a little bit more seriously, because you understand how much it is needed and what an impact you can make.
I just wrote an article the other day. I think it just came out maybe, let's say Monday, and it's on, parenting and mentoring. And, how do you parent your kids, but also how do you give them some mentorship? And it's just, it's been interesting. My dad called high school and college years as the valley of ignorance. When you're younger, your parents are the smartest people. And as you go through high school your parents' IQ generally goes down until senior year when, they're the lowest IQ, and then it picks back up. But, it's been funny. You just see with my own kids as they're starting to, my daughter, look for an internship. What am I going to do after school? And then their friends. And, I just took my son's a senior in high school. I took a group of his friends away, and, all of a sudden they're asking me what do you do? And what should I do? And it's just neat when you start to, see young kids look to other people and say, how did you get a job? How did you decide where you were going to school? And I love those conversations, especially with young people, because if you invest in them, you can legitimately change the trajectory of a 20-year-old's life.
Yep.
And by the way, not with magical advice. Sometimes the advice is absolutely so basic.
It's almost always that way, right?
It is.
It's like we were just talking earlier about something I read in a book, and basically it's the whole, keep your friends closer, your enemies closer thing, which it's like, this makes sense. But then reading through these examples, it's like, it's so obvious, and just something that you don't like, all these great things that are so obvious that just you don't apply, right? Yeah. And then you struggle, and you're like, oh, maybe I should do it this way. And that was the original way that we should have done it when we were looking at it the first time, right?
Yeah.
So why do we do that? Why can't we take the known thing that the guru or the person that is mentoring us is telling us and just do it? Why do we have to go, no, I got to do it this way, and then I'm going to fail. Okay, I'll do it that way.
I think it's as simple as we're all units of one. We're each unique. We're all on our own journey, and we're all building up our experience and our know-how. Sure. Now, I do think, maybe people that get somewhere earlier, somewhere could be college, it could be a first promotion, it could be buying a house, whatever it is. I think those are people that maybe were better at listening to those around them. And I know, I had mentors in my life, and I think one of my mentors at one time probably kept me out of jail for homicide when I was running hot after a meeting. And, other mentors, made things that were really big in my head, wow, I can't believe this is happening. And they're like, it's a blip, it's a day, it's a week, you got a 30-year career ahead of you. But when you're in the moment, it's big. You don't have perspective. So I think that's something, and you don't have perspective because you don't have perspective. You don't have experience. You haven't been through it. We have interns here at the company, and you talk to them and you realize, wow, a 20-year-old is a 20-year-old. They're learning. They're learning things for the first time. They, it's what do I wear in the office? They don't know.
Yeah, it's amazing. Because we were all there, right? You see them do it and you think back, you're like, oh, wow, I remember when I learned that thing. And it's just nuts that they don't know it. And for the last 30 years we have, right?
Yeah. In some ways, the environment now, I think for a young person with aspirations, I think with the hybrid and remote, I think it's harder because, sometimes you just, being at home and remote, if that's your job, I look at some of the lessons I learned, they were just by being in, watching the person next to me struggle. I remember at one point, they said, Brendan, we want to put you in sales. I had no idea how to sell whatsoever, but I remember listening to this guy, Jeff, I sat next to, listening to him on calls with clients and asking him, how do you prepare? If I were remote, I just wouldn't have had those learning experiences. So, one thing I tell young people in their careers is whether you can be remote or hybrid, go to the office. There's just stuff. And by the way, it's really tough getting the next promotion or next assignment when you're not known. Yeah. And when you're remote, it's very easy to forget a young person, for that matter, anybody, when they're remote.
Yeah.
Versus,
Definitely.
hey, who's the guy that sits in the third row? He's a really hard worker. He's here all the time. Who's that?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the person that gets that little break. And it's just because they were there. They were known. One of my mentors called it the law of physical presence. He goes, you got to be there to show up. If you want to play the big game, you got to show up.
Yeah. You can't play in the Super Bowl remotely.
But just think of that. Just the law of physical presence. Just show up. Like, it sounds easy, but like it's sometimes it's not.
The hardest part of going to the gym is just going there.
There you go.
Right.
It is funny though, like that is the thing, right? And the default is to not go into work because the benefit is that you can work remote, but like then it's like, what's your competitive advantage to your peers? I mean, definitely going in because at least 50% of them are choosing home. That already puts you in the lead above 50% of the employees at work. So I think that's one of those great leadership pieces of advice for younger people. Because I feel the same way. Like if my employees are eager to come into work, it's like, wow, thank you. Like, I mean, there's a certain level of confidence and buy-in that you feel when somebody actually wants to come in.
Well, also what I just think of my day today. So, you got your calendar, it's laid out, and then there's things happen. Well, if you want those things to happen and somehow maybe land on your desk with more responsibility or more whatever, like sometimes it doesn't go to the most qualified. Sometimes it goes to who's known, who's available, who's around, who's got, and again, if you're not there, well, I'm a big Patriots fan on the East Coast. Bill Belichick used to have a line: the best ability is availability. If you're on the injured report every week, it doesn't matter how good you are. I can't play you. So, the best ability sometimes is showing up, sometimes being present, being available. And that, when we had our interns, we did a little thing a couple of weeks ago. And when we were saying goodbye to them, they said, "Hey, Brendan, what's some advice?" That's one of the things I said is, be known and also know what you want. Like, I can't help you get where you want to go if you don't know where you want to go. But if you're a 23-year-old and you come to me and you say, "Someday I'd like to work in finance and I'd really like to understand more about accounting," and I can put that in the back of my head, a project comes up and I can go, "Oh, what about Charlie?" But if I say, "Hey, what are you looking to do?" I don't know.
Right.
I can't help you get to I don't know land.
100%. Right. It's funny. It's like full circle. It goes back to what you were saying earlier of how you became chairman of the board was because you were there and you kept chiming in. And they're like, well, if you
squeaky wheel, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, I say that and now let's go to the boardroom. Let's go to the boardroom. So we were just at interns. We'll go to the boardroom. As a board member, you've got a responsibility to kind of, listen, absorb, but also give back. And, too many times, and I'm thinking nonprofit boards, whether it's with your kid's soccer team or school or a public company or private company, it's, are you showing up in governing or are you showing up and adding value? And it's not, it's like, let's say you have 4 board meetings a year, showing up to the board meeting, that's the minimum. That's like going to practice if you're a high school athlete. That's the minimum. Do you want to start for varsity? Do you want to make varsity? Do you want to play in college? Practices are the minimum. What are you doing outside of practice? Are you lifting? Are you conditioning? So if you're now a board member, so we'll go from intern to board member, show up to the meetings. That's like going to practice. Like, of course you go to the meetings. Right. But, are you learning about the industry that the company's in? Are you researching their competitors? Are you thinking of ways they could improve their top line, their bottom line? Are you at a conference and you network with somebody and you go, you know what? I want to put you in touch with this company that I'm on the board of. And if you think of it, it's no different. One might be a 21-year-old, one might be now a 50-year-old. We're kind of doing bookends there. But it's showing up, but then it's like now it's defining what is my value add? What more can I do? What more can I offer?
Right.
Yeah. I love that.
So it seems to me that if somebody isn't showing up, there's some level of maybe fear, uncertainty, unsure, like not feeling good about themselves, self-doubt. I know in your book, FUD Factor, which is back there behind you, you talk about,
right here.
You talk about like overcoming these things, how to overcome these things, and why they're roaming around in our head. Could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So, like when we were all born, we actually didn't have fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then unintentionally, the world started imprinting it on us. So, one example I use in the book is, as kids, we probably all skateboarded, and yet, parents will say, "Hey, put a helmet on." Well,
no way.
But the kid was not thinking, "I'm going to get on the skateboard, I'm going to fall."
Right.
Like that was not in a 5-year-old, a 10. It wasn't even in their thought process, but we injected it. And and by the way, we do all sorts of this. So, and next thing you know, someone's saying like, "Hey, am I going to make the team?" And then it's like, I'm not going to try out. Well, because it's easy. If I don't try out, then I'm not gonna fail. And I'll tell you, today I think there's more expectations on people than there's ever been. Social media puts like pressures. Where are you cool? Are you invited to the party? Are you doing fun things with your family? I like that shirt that you say once in a while. I wish my life was as good as yours is on Facebook. It's like, hey, there's this expectation out there. So that actually accelerates fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And, as you look to overcome it, one of the first things is, I have a saying, have the courage to fail and the faith to succeed. You just have to say, I'm willing to fail. I'm willing to fail. And, short of certain jobs, like if you're in the military, you're in law enforcement, you're in healthcare, most of us have day-to-day jobs that if you fail, things are going to be okay. Things are going to be okay. So I'm not suggesting that, if you're the receptionist at the hospital, you try surgery, not going that far. But, if we don't have surgeons that are pushing for new procedures, we're never going to solve, diseases and illnesses. But what I find interesting is culturally companies can take that fear away, where you talk about your failures, you talk about your successes. I know here at Merchants in the last 5 years, we're a 60-year-old company. We went from 500 million to 2.5 billion. We had this tremendous growth, but we talk about our failures. We talk about businesses we entered that just failed, and what that sends a message to others that you can start a business or you can have an idea and it's okay if it fails, as opposed to, that team's no longer here. Or sweeping it under the rug and not talking about it. But, I've never met anybody in any profession doing anything that's great that didn't fail a lot.
100%. Well, yeah,